Why did my mic go on mute? Hello, peoples, to the Tip Podcast. Hey, there's my camera. There we go. Things are working. The Monday Night Podcast, where we talk about general gaming news, tech news of the former week, share our opinions, and have long discussions about penises. If you don't know me, I am TheGamePit, TGPNate, a million other names on the interwebs. Faces!
Faces.
That just completely derailed my train of thoughts. Holy shit. Restart. Stopping stream, restarting stream. Yeah, so this is a Monday Night Podcast, talk about things and stuff, general tech news, share our general opinions on them. To my left over there, right side of the screen, is Mr. Supergrey38, Mr. Grey1 on Twitter, fellow variety streamer of the variety streaming type, Canadian extraordinaire, Korean expert.
Can we just hurry up and get a fucking marketing director? Because the fact that he just sat there with a box of Slim Jims for like fucking 2 minutes. Like...
That's what's going to get us the sponsorship eventually. They're paying attention. Slim Jim is paying attention. I don't even know who makes Slim Jim.
Since I got in the call with you, Nate.
For fuck's sakes. Alright, down on the bottom there, Slim Jim extraordinaire, fellow variety streamer, Twitch's own FAQ, Mr. SpikeSethen.
I like that. Twitch's yeah, I'm okay with that.
Sleeping with who in the tech world? But yes, welcome to week 8 of the Tip Podcast. A slightly better week since I've learned how to keep track of gaming news. Some interesting things this week. Some not so interesting things this week. We do not initially address chat as we go along. That is a thing that we hold for the end of the cast, where we do a Q&A with the viewing audience. We also have a slightly new thing for the end of cast there as well that we will be doing, where we'll be asking you guys a question and asking your opinions, and we'll have such ways for you to submit information to us regarding those questions that we ask to your faces.
If you have any questions on how to answer that, wait until the end of the cast.
Basically. Alright. So we kick this thing off with the question of the week, and the question of the week that I pose to you two is Sunny D or the purple stuff?
Oh, it's definitely the purple stuff.
I was gonna say, I'm not really a fan of Sunny D. It's too expensive. Purple stuff, 25 cents. Good.
There we go. Everybody agrees with me on the purple stuff. It's all the major food groups. It's sugar, water, and purple. That's all you need.
Well, you know, also it doesn't have the texture of syrup.
The texture of syrup.
It actually feels like a drink when you drink it.
I don't know. I find Sunny D to be super watered down orange juice myself. I don't think it's thick. I think it's...
Really? Because I don't think it tastes like orange juice, but I think it feels like molasses in my throat.
I've never had molasses ever.
I mean,
you're not missing
I can
much.
put something down your throat that'll feel like molasses anyway, so...
You're not moving on.
Moving on. Alright, so we kick this thing off talking about the releases of this coming week for those who are interested, those who may not have been paying attention to things coming out to their faces soon. So, starting off this week, April 7th, tomorrow, we have Tower of Guns on the PS3 and the PS4. We have Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sun DLC hitting everything. PC, PS3, PS4, 360, and the Xbox One. We have Stealth Inc. 2, a game of clones, hitting the PC, the PS3, the PS4, and the PS Vita. We have whatever the fuck Monster Bag is hitting the PS Vita. Do people still buy PS Vitas?
No.
Did people ever buy PS Vitas?
Basically.
No.
Except for me.
You have one?
I'm one of the League of 12.
The League of 12.
Well, I mean, it's like you, Total Biscuit, and then like some estranged man in the mountains.
This is the future, boys!
And then if you own a PS4 and you have not had a chance to get a hold of it any other way, Bastion will be hitting the PS4. Fantastic game by Supergiant Games. I use Darren Korb's music constantly in my streams.
Still haven't played Bastion.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So good.
All right, April 8th, we have Pokemon Rumble World hitting the 3DS. April 9th, we have Fire on the PC. And April 10th, we have Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, the Wii remaster of Xenoblade hitting the 3DS. And then Dead Synchronicity Tomorrow Comes Today on the PC.
That name annoys me.
It's pretty good.
On April 10th, Tomorrow Comes Today.
On April 10th, Tomorrow Comes Today. Fantastic. Kind of a slow week for releases. Usually our list is a lot longer than that.
I thought Titan Souls was coming out this week.
The Titan Souls demo is out. Titan Souls itself doesn't release until the 14th.
That's one I've been looking at.
Question mark?
Yeah, I downloaded the demo. I remember hitting that game when it first was very, very early announced, and all they had was like a little playable flash thing.
It's really like unique.
Yeah, I played the demo again today, and it's even better than I remembered it.
I don't even know what that is, but it has the word souls in it. So segue. The Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. Before we get into any kind of like news topic, I kind of want to ask the question: was there any fucking point?
Nope. Except for that people will spend a full release worth of money on it. So
yeah, it's $50 and literally the only thing they did that was major was put it in DirectX 11. And even then they didn't even upscale anything. The lighting engine is the only thing that's really changed, and they're like, we're not going to give this to you as an update. $50, please. Like,
yeah, it's pretty shifty. I mean, they added a dragon, so be impressed.
They added a dragon.
They added a dragon, so you should be paying full price for this game.
Because I've been watching it, and I literally can't tell the goddamn difference. It looks just like Dark Souls 2 did. I mean, maybe it has all the DLC, right?
Yeah, it has.
DLC,
and it has a dragon, and it has a lighting system, and it will cost you full retail.
Yeah, I don't.
Makes sense.
Totally worth it.
I don't know. I just wanted to address that because I wanted to see if there was anyone that had any further information on it, but apparently I'm correct, and it's just like a Game of the Year edition with like a tacked on higher price tag.
Yeah, it really, like, if it was released as like a $30 release, I'd be fine with it, because re-releasing is okay as long as it's not like trying to sell it as if it's a brand new game.
I'm so fucking glad you finally saw that.
The smoosh, the flaccid. I'm pretty happy with that. 530 hours. Like a boss.
Like a boss.
I like it.
All of my life right there.
All right.
Moving along. So we're going to get into some game updates of the week before we head into the major news. I'm just going to run through these kind of quickly because we still don't know where we're going to end up putting this eventually. But it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a thing that exists.
This is still a work in progress, friends.
Still a work in progress. All right, so due to the release delays on Project Cars, developer Slightly Mad Studios will be releasing a series of monthly free DLC cars. So that means if you intend to get Project Cars, I think there's a cap for when you have to basically pre-order or buy it. Every month they'll be giving you a new DLC car for free. Which, free DLC, whatever.
Yeah. See how consistent they are on that monthly free.
Yeah. How long it'll actually last.
Yeah. We said it would be monthly. We didn't say it would be multiple months.
Well, we were going to release the first month for you guys, but we've decided to focus our efforts on giving you the paid DLC instead.
Basically. Alright, Sunset Overdrive is getting... Said that weird. Sunset Overdrive has been given a price drop alongside the new DLC. So if you want to pick up Sunset Overdrive... Fucking that word. Everdrive.
Sunset Everdrive.
Sunset Everdrive is now priced at $40 US permanently. It is a permanent price drop. Will not be going back up. And the accompanying DLC, Dawn of the Rise of the Fallen Machines, like that could be any longer, is priced at $10 and is also part of your season pass for Sunset Overdrive.
That DLC name is amazing.
I do like it.
Yeah. EA's Origin service has a spring sale going on through till April 9th, so you still got a few days to get some discounts up to 50% off. Some decent things on there: Dragon Age Inquisition, Sims 4, FIFA 15, Titanfall. All of those are off of the...
plus.
Yeah. All of those can be found on Origin's website or through the Origin service.
Shit.
If you are one of the 12 people who owns a PS Vita and you played the free-to-play RPG Destiny of Spirits, it will be closing come June 30th. The service is over, no more support for it. Goodbye.
That link was ridiculous. Why
Holy
can't it just
shit.
be origin.com, you fuck? Much better.
BitLY.com, sir. Holy shit.
Basically.
The League of 12 is strong, guys.
Yes, you can save 5 cents
can
on
save.
the Inquisition. Well done.
Oh, man.
DuckTales Remastered is going to be hitting mobile platforms coming up. iOS, Android, and even the Windows Phone. Somebody is still paying attention to us Windows Phone users.
Oh, man.
I thought the Windows Phone was basically dead, to be honest.
It's getting there. The support for the store is getting worse and worse, and people are pulling shit constantly, so it's a problem. But yeah, DuckTales Remastered hitting mobile
You can order
platforms
Darkest Dungeons on...
for $9.99 US. Binding of Isaac Rebirth is going to essentially be on everything coming up. It'll be on the Xbox One, the Wii U, and the new Nintendo 3DS, but will not be supported on the older DS models. So your old 3DSs, XLs, 2DSs, whichever. If it's not a new Nintendo 3DS with the second stick, the more RAM, whatever, you won't be getting Binding of Isaac Rebirth.
It's such a good game. If you couldn't get it before, you should get it now.
Pretty good. Goes on Steam on sale all the fucking time, too, so...
Because Edmund always puts his shit on, like, sale.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty ridiculous. Because he just doesn't give a shit about money anymore at this point.
I don't really have to. I mean, you know.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like he was like super fucking broke until Super Meat Boy came out, and now he just doesn't give a shit about money.
All right, for those of you who own Super Time Force on the Xbox One and have been wanting the Ultra Update that us PC users have been enjoying, the Ultra Update is out now on Xbox One for the super, super high price of nothing. Get it for free, Ultra Update, 50 new challenge levels, Ultra Force mode, whole new list of achievements for it. Super Time Force, fantastic. Ultra added a lot to that game. I fucking love Super Time Force. Buy it, play it, get it. That's my recommendation.
I've never played it.
That's so good.
I've never even heard of it.
I heard it was really good.
Yeah. A whole lot of Nintendo updates from the recent Nintendo Direct that they put out. The other ones I really cared about, which is why they are in the notable section. Mario Kart getting a free 200cc update. So there will be a new 200cc class in Mario Kart for the very first time. Faster cars, everything, just looking at the videos on it, shit is way faster now.
I'm actually really excited to play at like lightning speeds.
Yeah.
Still boycotting Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing that I'll see on cast, but I'm still terribly Nintendo.
Oh, yeah. I'm still willing to have my heart broken.
Exactly.
I'm just not willing to do it publicly anymore.
Fatal Frame for the Wii U
Sorry.
is coming out of Japan and hitting us Westerners later this year. So North America and Europe releases of Fatal Frame Wii U will be happening. Atlas is also localizing their Attack on Titan 3DS game for North America and Europe. That is due out in May. The DS and N64 games are becoming a part of the Wii U Virtual Console. Not the entire library, but a fair selection of them, including Mario 64 for those who have never played it, is available now, I believe, right? Gray?
Yeah, I've been playing Super Mario 64 on my Wii U. It's been awesome. It's, they up-resed it a bit, eh? Like, you don't have a lot of,
They would have had to.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
No,
it
it's
would look
4x3.
like absolute trash.
Well, I mean, it's still the same ratio.
Right.
It's just, like, there's no jaggies or stuff like that.
No jaggies. Technical terms, people.
Yeah, that's what it's called, jaggies. Leave me
Alright.
alone.
Aliasing.
And for those of you
fuck up, dude.
Smash
They're called
players, they're called jaggies. Jaggies are dinosaurs, okay?
Fucking done, man.
Jaggies are dinosaurs. Oh.
All right. For you Smash players out there, those of you who owned both the 3DS and Wii U version like myself, we are getting our Mewtwo DLC confirmed April 15th. You will be getting your codes to redeem that. For everybody else, he will be available as part of the character DLC available on April 28th, which will also be including Lucas this June. So they're bringing Lucas back, and right now Nintendo is taking a whole bunch of requests on future character DLCs. They're even more than willing to put people who aren't within the Nintendo franchises into their games, so long as they can acquire the rights. So they're basically opening up Smash to whatever characters people want.
Which is the opposite of what they really should be doing, which is open up their goddamn library to everyone else.
Basically.
So I am currently part of the League of 12 when it comes to the PS Vita. I'm also the sole member of the League of One who doesn't give a shit about Mewtwo and Smash Bros.
No, it's League of Two.
I don't care about Smash Bros. So.
That's because you're also part of a League of One.
Yeah, the League of One. Me and Gray are one.
We're two individual groups with single members.
Single memories. Jesus Christ.
That have very, very similar causes to them.
All right. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate's April DLC is out now. That includes a Sonic the Hedgehog Palico skin, 14 brand new quests, new bosses, new armor, new weapons, new items, all for the continuing price of free. Monster Hunter 4 DLC continues to be free, continues to add actual new content. So good on those guys for doing something right, while still having to be part of Nintendo.
Well, it's really weird because Monster Hunter 4 is made by Capcom.
Yeah, it's So
I don't understand what's happening right now.
All right. And as we said earlier, the Titan Souls demo is out now for... where was I going with that sentence? The Titan Souls demo is out now. Steam page, go get it. Titan Souls demo, free. Play it. Full game, release, April 14th.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty good. It's Shadow of the Colossus meets Dark Souls. You have one hit, the bosses have one hit, and you have one arrow. That's it.
Okay, that might be interesting. I'm going to look that up right now.
It's pretty fun, and it's pretty... I mean, it's very much you have to learn the trick, you know?
Interesting.
I like it. I like it a lot. I'm waiting for the full release. I'm pretty amped about it, and it's going to be part of my Indiecade Thursdays coming up soon, so...
Indiecade Thursdays.
Thursdays.
There's something new.
Yep.
The only problem is I'm so tired of pixel art.
It works.
I don't really mind it because sometimes the alternative is really shitty art.
Yeah, basically.
No, I swear to God, because...
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, like, if people have the option to do something else, then I get a little bit frustrated. Like if Ubisoft was to make a pixel art game, I would groan. But I mean, for a lot of people, it's just no. Well, now I'm gonna start drinking.
What was it? It was the Child of Light, right?
They were part of that.
That's not pixel art.
It's not really pixel art.
You wouldn't consider that pixel art? Oh,
it's
well,
like
that's more traditional. You're right.
Yeah.
I haven't played it or looked at it any further than like a couple.
I have to spit this beer back.
Gross. All right, last thing on the list. GTA 5 PC is actually fucking happening April 14th. Nobody's talking about a push as of yet. And the preloads will be available come tomorrow.
Nate's like shaking. It's like, please, God.
I can't afford it anyways, so what the fuck ever. But at least it'll be there when I can.
Rockstar allows for everyone to preload the game, and then as soon as they preload the game, we're like,
push
gotta
the
wait
release
another
back. But yeah, preload's available tomorrow from the Rockstar warehouse. If you own it and are excited about it, you will be able to have it preloaded a week early, so that day one when it comes out, you can just play.
I would prefer you don't pre-order it at all, though.
Basically, yeah.
Because this is Rockstar we're talking about, and they have a track record of not.
Except
I'm just not.
they're geniuses because they've made people buy a game some people buy a game 3 times in 1 year.
It's the
Yeah, it's
Capcom model
true.
of performance, right?
That's even smarter than the Dark Souls one, because they're only getting people to buy a game twice.
I mean, look at all the fucking versions of Super Street Fighter I had to buy. Because it started Street Fighter 4, then it went Super Street Fighter 4, then it went Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, then it went Super Street Fighter 4 Ultra. Whichever fucking way that went.
Yeah. I mean, look at all the versions of Street Fighter 2. Alpha Climax Redux Edition.
Alpha Climax Redux Edition.
Excellent.
Holy shit. Alright, getting into the game news this week.
Wait. I want to say something first. Because you mentioned April. Alright? And I didn't think to put it on this list because it wasn't really a big thing. But the makers of Dying Light did a glorious thing for April Fools.
Yes.
So, Nate and viewers of the TheGamePit, do you remember Dead Wed when we got the home run bat?
Mm-hmm.
The makers of Dying Light for April Fools decided to turn the physics engine up to 10,000. So every time you hit a zombie, they just went flying. It was the greatest April Fools ever. I was so happy.
I was paying so little attention to April Fools, I didn't know that, and that is fucking fantastic.
It was amazing.
It's really good.
All right.
Holy
But yeah,
shit.
that wasn't big enough to put as a story, but that was something I definitely wanted to mention because it was amazing.
It was just chaos. Just like fucking every time you hit something is like to the stratosphere.
It was great.
That was literally applied to everything, though, right?
All of the enemies, and I believe, yeah, all of the enemies, including the big bulky enemies.
Right.
So good.
That's fantastic. Okay, so getting into our first news story. Looking forward to Witcher 3? You're gonna have a long playthrough if you decide to go 100%. Because the devs are saying that at 100% playthrough, Witcher 2 Witcher 2? Witcher 2.
Sunset Everdrive.
Witcher T pities the fool.
Sunset Everdrive.
Sunset Overdrive. Holy shit. English today, man.
Oh, you're fired.
Witcher 3 is going to take you 200 plus hours to 100% complete.
Witcher T.
Witcher T.
That was great. I'm very happy with that. I'm also very happy about this as well because they were initially only saying that there was going to be like 100 plus hours, and that's like you've explored like every little nook and cranny. So
yeah,
doubling that, man, that's fucking. I'm more than happy.
it's insane. I'm in the camp of I want my games to be 8 hours and that's it. Because if there's just too much to do, I just lose interest super hard because I spend that time looking for everything, and then I'm so over encumbered by how long everything is that I just stop. That's why I've never completed a goddamn Assassin's Creed.
I'm really on the fence about that, but the difference between, like, say, Skyrim and, like, Assassin's Creed is Assassin's Creed, it's all filler. Like, there's nothing substantial that happens in Assassin's Creed that isn't, like, a main quest. And it's like, when you play Skyrim, I mean, there's like whole stories and stuff that you go through quest lines for. And I mean, that makes it interesting. So it's like, I swear to God, I played Skyrim for like 60 hours, and I was like the leader of every single guild, and I was like, you know, I had assassinated the Emperor of Tamriel, and then all of a sudden I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I hadn't done any main story quests, because the rest of it was just interesting.
Yeah, I guess if there's enough involvement in the story for that quest to exist and it's interesting, it's not so bad. But you also know me in that I just rapid fire through story elements because I just don't give a shit. I just want to hit people and keep running. So
Yeah. If you look at the track record, Bioshocks a shit game. Oh,
I'm enjoying it so far.
Wait till you
what a rebuttal! Oh my god.
But the track record of CD Projekt Red kind of suggests that they know how to flesh out side quests so they're not dull. They either through means of like, you know, this side quest will flesh out a little more of the story about your character and the memory that he lost, or just giving it interesting characters with interesting dialogue to it. So I think this would probably be one of the more fleshed out open world games to have been made in a while. Especially considering they're saying they are going to have fail states.
Right.
Like actual fail states, like Morrowind level fail states. If you start communicating with X faction too much, X faction's going to be like, no, I'm not dealing with you because you dealt with them. And that is something that has been unseen in the RPG market for a long time. Actual fail states.
It's like Morrowind.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's
fail like all the time.
with the amount of content they pushed into it. I know how good CD Projekt Red is. I just hope that with how much more expansive they've made it now since their original figure of 100 hours in March 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I hope it's as fleshed out, like every little bit is as fleshed out as I know that they can do.
I'm just hoping it's all thriller, no filler.
Yeah, basically.
I'm pretty confident in CD's ability.
They have to find 500 eagle feathers all over the map.
Yeah,
I actually don't think they'll do collectibles like that.
Yeah, I don't think they will either because it's a stupid fucking thing to do.
If anything, they'll do a collectible system of like, kill these 40 legendary creatures that there's only like 2 of them on the entire world. Because, you know, they orient their game a lot around the monster hunter element, so...
Well, because you're a witcher.
Right.
That's the entire purpose of Geralt's existence, right?
You pronounced that weird, but yes.
Canadian?
Basically.
Alright. Anybody remember OnLive? Anybody still use OnLive?
I remember
Anybody
it. Used it a little.
Well, it's going bye-bye.
Mm-hmm. I knew that.
Yeah, I mean, the support hasn't been that great lately. OnLive is shutting down officially come April 30th. If you have an account, your account will be closed. All of your user data is going to be deleted. Just plain out, OnLive going bye-bye. They are not going to be offering refunds on Steam games purchased with the intent of playing them via OnLive. Only offering refunds on OnLive hardware, which I don't... They have their own hardware.
Nope,
yeah, only offering refunds on their hardware if purchased on or after February 1st of this year. What will also be closing is the company's desktop service and their Second Life Go streaming service, which allowed people to get onto Second Life through OnLive. That is also closing on April 30th. And Sony is going to be acquiring every bit of their assets. Sony bought the company not too long ago, but now has the official rights to every, like, OnLive's infrastructure, everything that they do with their streaming service. Sony is acquiring all of that, including whatever studios they decide to keep open through that. Not studios, but business.
So, while Gray opens up Peeps, the sound of a hurricane.
Peeps. Wait.
To those of you that don't know what OnLive is or was at this point, OnLive was sort of a service where you would choose a game, purchase a game, rent a game, try a game, etc. But it wouldn't be running on your system. It would be running on a system somewhere else, and they would stream the information to you and allow you to input from that way. So it was a way for lower end systems to play games that they normally would not be able to play through that method. It's now been made obsolete through things like the NVIDIA Shield and other such practices that allow you to just, buy one decent system and then use that system as a hub for playing anywhere else.
Right.
Also, Nate, I looked at your settings. I don't really think you need to be casting at such a high bitrate for the podcast.
The interesting thing is that we are only at 2430.
Yeah.
I don't think that's high.
I was casting at 1800 for the last tip. I'm just saying that for, buffer reasons, because Ariel buffer, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we can knock that.
Anyways.
Welcome back.
Yeah. I mean, OnLive wasn't that special.
It was when it came out.
Yeah, I mean, when it came out,
it was a really niche market for it, was all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, like, I never minded the idea, but in practicality, it's just whatever.
I just found it cumbersome to get into and actually use. And I felt like their subscription services were a little sneakier than I would have wanted them to be. But that was very recently that I checked out OnLive. I didn't check it out when it was first a thing, so.
Yeah, when it first came out, it was actually kind of nice. You could pick basically any game. It was a free service. You download it, you log in, etc. And you could basically pick any game that they had, like any one of their games, and then they would just give you a free hour with that game before you had to buy it.
Right.
Which, I mean, say what you will about the service being practical or whatnot, but for that specific thing, considering they offered a lot of games on their selection and a lot of those games didn't have demos, it's kind of nice to play a game and not, have to pay for it so you can see what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely a reason for it. It was a very good reason. It just kind of fell into obscurity.
No.
Better things came out that worked.
But now Sony's going to use all of that technology for their PS Now service.
Probably,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's why they pushed super hard to acquire every single bit of it that they could.
Oh, guaranteed. I mean, because they really want to push that whole, streaming their back catalog thing.
Yeah.
Because that way they don't... I mean, it's really easy for them then, because that way they don't have to, they can still basically sell people their old games, but they don't have to update them.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of old games, GOG has an interesting thing they've launched, and that seems to be working. So GOG has a new service in place called the Reclaim service. What this is if you own a physical copy of a game, currently only it handles only a few games, those of which being Stalker Call of Pripyat, Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, and the Clear Skies. If you own physical copies of those games and you want a patched digital version for free, the Reclaim service allows you to just take your CD keys from those games, tell GOG that you own them, and they will give you free patched copies of those games digitally.
Which, if you don't own Stalker, go buy it. It's on sale right now on GOG.
If somebody wants to start a betting pool for if we will or will not mention GOG in one of our podcasts...
It's an excellent platform.
No, I know. Don't get me wrong. I'm just if you started a drinking game or a betting
But yeah, I think this is a really good thing. I know Steam kind of supports it for some things. I hope GOG's library opens up very widely to this thing, because I'm sure plenty of people have. I know I've got old CDs of games sitting around that I don't want to have to rebuy again, but I wouldn't mind playing again. So if they open up the library of this Reclaim service, then all I have to do is just tell GOG that I own those games, I bought them, and I get a free digital copy that's patched to work on everything.
Well, then, and it also saves you the issue of having to worry about never having those CDs again.
Yeah, basically.
Because I mean, CDs break pretty easily.
Then again, it's also kind of cheap to repair them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I meant like, you're moving stuff around. Cases get crushed.
Yes.
Things like that.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
No, I don't know. I think it's a really cool program. Just more
It is.
reason.
I like it.
More reason to fillet GOG.
It's true. GOG's penis is the most delicious penis I've had in a long time.
What does it taste like?
It tastes like saving money.
It's an interesting palate you have.
That's all I think about is penis and money. Penis and money.
Penis and money.
And hookers and blow. And pizza.
Oh, wow.
Taco.
All right.
Penis and money, hookers and blow. Spike's gonna go. Grow, grow, grow.
I don't like that.
Holy shit. All right, I've been running the gamut here. Who wants to take over the next one?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'll cover the next one, I guess. Oh, God. A gaming store in New Jersey, digital press was swatted, and the party responsible tried to further flame the incident. All right, I actually did read this a little bit.
It's pretty intense.
Apparently, it was like a novelty store that was doing a monthly gaming meetup, swatting. Essentially, a swatting thing had occurred, which is when some asshole calls anonymously to the to 911 saying there's there's a bomb threat or a hostage situation, and then SWAT go to the area and guns ablazing, because that's what the SWAT does. And apparently they did that here. The shop was called by the perpetrator and told to close the blinds, which they did, and the employee was instructed to peek out and shout someone inside had a gun, a move that was stopped by the store owner. So
how dumb is that employee, first off?
The employee that followed what was being told. I mean, I don't know. It's
Well, okay, so the article I read about this incident, when he did what he was told, it was because, he didn't know what the protocols for fires were and stuff, and the guy was like, I'm the fire chief, so he's like, okay, I guess I trust you, or whatever. And then, yeah. So, for, the shutting the windows, he's like, I don't know, maybe there's a thing that helps.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But within this year alone, this puts the... Let's see. Did they find the person? I think they did, right?
When I had read it, they
no
hadn't.
suspects as of yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Based on that, 2 American teenagers have faced high-profile swatting charges in the past 2 months. Swatting's not a good thing, people.
No, you can't swat in Canada. You have to ert.
Fuck me in the mouth.
Because we don't call them SWAT, so it's erting. You're erting if you're doing it in Canada. No, it's super dangerous though, because when they're in when SWAT is called to a scene like that, SWAT only ever shows up if it's a very dangerous situation, which means they are fully ready to start pulling triggers and stuff, because at that if the police feel they have to send SWAT out, it means the situation has gotten to a point where they can't fuck around anymore, and those guys are specifically trained not to fuck around. So
the militarized police. They are basically militarized police.
Yeah, exactly. They're and that's what I mean. They're the last card the police has to play, because it's I don't know. So when they come in, they're the combat guys of the police force, right? That's their whole training is combat. And so you get a whole bunch of people who don't know what's happening, and they bust down the door, and people are freaking out. Maybe somebody's making dinner and they have a knife, right? Somebody can get seriously hurt because they're on a hair trigger, and people react really weird when they're in in a stressful situation and they don't know what's going on.
Oh, I mean,
So
that's a fight or flight response, you know?
Exactly, right? So, I mean, somebody busts down your door and you don't know what's happening, you could do something stupid, right? And, I mean, obviously, the police are going to react however they're trained to react.
Which
and
SWAT
poorly.
is trained to react, put you down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, is they just put you down. And, yeah, so, I mean, swatting is a terribly dangerous thing, and, like, it's not funny at all. It's not a funny prank to pull.
Nope.
And it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it
costs a
comes
lot
with
of-
a really big jail time now.
Yes. It
So
costs, yeah. Like the SWAT costs a lot of money to deploy.
Which, if they figure out who pulled off this specific incident, he will be charged the full price of what it cost for the SWAT to go out there. They already stated he's paying every goddamn penny, no matter what they have to do to get every penny out of him.
Well, they fucking should. Like,
it's a waste of a public resource.
absolutely. And wasting that public resource means they cannot use that money for other public resources, which would have actually been able to use it.
So this is another circumstance. Like, this is the I think one of the bigger things that we need to take from this is that this isn't something that happens once in a while. This is like a trending event that takes place not just to Twitch casters, not just to YouTubers, but this is something that just, like, famous people, shops, events, etc. This happens all too frequently.
Yeah.
And
It started happening a lot. And, I mean, the thing is I think it started to get really popular because they know the police will respond. Because they have to. They have to take every call completely seriously. Because if they don't, and there is a problem, and someone dies, that's on their hands. And it's like, so every time they say, like, oh my god, there's a hostage situation, they have a bomb, they have to send the SWAT.
Yeah.
They have no choice, because that's their responsibility. That's the responsibility they've taken. So, I mean, it's become a problem where people have seen it as a really easy way to get, like, back at someone, or just a really mean prank, or whatever their reasons are.
Yeah.
And it's not a funny thing either.
It's not.
Yeah,
funny.
it's not a ketchup packet on the floor in the fucking mall. It's
Yeah.
an entire militarized team of assault rifle carrying people. And in this instance could have gone severely wrong with a 40-plus crowd within that store.
Yeah.
And bad information being passed to them that could have easily got them just encroached on and shot and whatever else. I mean,
Yeah,
as we've said more than enough times regarding these incidents, if you are a person who could potentially be a target of a SWAT, contact your local police department. Let them know what you do. Let them know what swatting is if they don't. Give them all of your information just so that they understand it's a thing that could happen, so that maybe they can make a more informed decision should this happen to you.
Yeah, these guys got really lucky in the sense that the guy tried to flame it, and because he said, like, oh, you should go outside and yell someone has a gun or whatever.
That the store owner caught it.
Yeah, so, like, the fact that he did that and he just wasn't very clever at flaming it, the store owner was able to contact the chief of police or, like, the police station, and they were able to work out, okay, well, they still have to come in.
Yeah.
And so everybody was able to, like, get on the floor, and then they were able to, you know, put everyone in cuffs and make sure everything was safe, but in a way that no one got hurt.
Yeah, they didn't have to breach, they didn't have to use grenades. The calm and orderly fashion with which they entered. They handcuffed everybody, put them down, searched everything, made sure everything was on the up and up with the information that they had been given.
Yeah, and, like, that's super good because, like, that 40 people in chaos, like, people could have been tackled, like, I mean, even if they never used a firearm, those people still could have seriously been injured, right? Like, you could have had broken bones or concussions or God knows what else. I mean, it would have been a really tragic event.
So on to lighter news.
Well, I just want to say the reason why we kind of harp on that longer than we do normally, like other events, is because it actually is a serious issue, and
it
the more informed you are, the better. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some things will make me groan, and I won't like them, but they're not a danger to people. So
Exactly.
Basically.
this is something that is really important to just say. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Ever.
Period. There's better ways to be an asshole if you want to be an asshole, so don't put anybody's life in danger to do it. Basically.
Exactly.
Buffing on, yay.
There's some really hilarious pranks out there.
Look at those.
Choose one of those.
Alright, moving on from that then. GTA 5 multiplayer. I don't know if this is going to be a thing on PC, but I know it's a thing on consoles. If you've been playing GTA 5 and you know the Duke of Death car in the single player, which is a pretty overpowered car, it's not the best thing, but it's got a lot of durability from what I understand, and it's a pretty hard car to beat up. People found out how to get that thing in online multiplayer by using an exploit. And Rockstar found out that people were exploiting the Duke of Death into online, and instead of patching it and getting rid of it, they just did a server-side fix. So now, if you try to use the Duke of Death in GTA 5 multiplayer, it just fucking blows up. That was their fix. They're not taking it out. They're not disallowing you from exploiting it into multiplayer. They're just blowing you the fuck up.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
I fucking love that.
It's a pretty good way to take care of the situation.
I also really like, because it's funny, it just reminds me of, like, the loot cave in Destiny. Like, if you guys remember, or it's like people found out you can just shoot infinite bullets into a cave and then, like, loot will pop out. And it was just some weird exploit. But it's just funny because, like, they were like, okay, we'll patch it out. And everybody's like, oh, you took away our fun. But, I mean, they decided, okay, we'll balance the multiplayer, but we'll also turn it into a hilarious joke. And I mean, it's funny because it's still going to be like pranking people for a couple weeks, and it's just like...
Well, it's not only that, right? Is that because of this fix, people are going to be using the Duke of Death to troll their friends now. Because you know that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
They're going to spawn a Duke of Death, and they're going to be like, dude, go get the car. So somebody who didn't exploit into the game is going to go hop into that son of a bitch and get blown up.
If it still works, April 14th, GTA 5 is coming to PC. So
So we'll see if that's in there on the PC version.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick it up on day one. I kind of think I'm going to wait a week, maybe. Although it would be nice to play for the 15th. Wink.
Wink.
Yeah, that's I love developers that do things like that. Like, it's one thing to find out someone's kind of doing something shady with your game and breaking the system that you put forth, and then just say, nope. It's another thing to take it and then have fun with it.
Yeah.
Well, that was like... I was just reading about the things they put in Alan Wake. You know, like, if your copy was detected as a pirated game, it wouldn't stop you from playing the game. It's just the whole game he would have an eye patch with a skull and crossbones on. And so it's like...
So it didn't even affect the gameplay, it just made
No,
you look stupid?
you could play the whole game. Like, all the cutscenes, everything was there. It's just that he had an eye patch with a skull and crossbones on it. And then, like, in the middle of, like, the loading screens, it would say, if you like this game, maybe you should support the developers. And that was it. That's
like, not half bad.
It was really funny. I mean, like, I think there's some pretty clever things they do for DRM, but I just thought that one was really funny.
Awesome. Great. I didn't really get a chance to look at your things, so.
Oh, that's okay. So Bandai Namco. Fuck me, I'm doing it too. Thanks.
Bandai Namco.
Bandai Namco.
Atanasa.
Oh wait, you totally okay. I know you said it, and I'm like, that sounds like a legit company name. And then I listened to it again, and I was like, oh wait.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bandai Namco is making some of its IPs freely available to Japanese developers. So they're going to have what they're calling the Open Project Program, and Japanese developers are going to be able to use certain Bandai Namco IPs in their games. anybody wanting to participate will have to go through a project review, but they're not going to be closely monitored. So it's not going to be like, okay, you have to make the game like this. It's simply pretty much, okay, is it appropriate for our characters to be doing this?
Basically they're gonna look at it and go, so it's not Pac-Man and Dig Dug just fucking each other in the ass the whole time.
You're not making the Pac-Man porn parody, right? I mean, that's essentially what they're saying.
Gotta cancel my project now.
At least initially, 17 IPs are going to be available for characters. That includes Pac-Man, Galaxian, Dig Dug, Galaga. I'm not sure if they're going to add more later, but if the program is successful, I would argue probably. They haven't revealed any details of the business plan.
You're a liar. That didn't happen at all. That is not what I did.
Nobody paid attention to that.
Well, no one can even access it.
Pay attention to that.
That's what I wanted to do. Bunch of sluts. I clicked on the page and then it was like, I'm gonna highlight the URL.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so I think this is really cool. It's just another sign of how businesses are changing.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, Bandai Namco is pretty well known for not being super strict on their IPs as it is. Like, they've been featured in more than enough they've had more than enough cross promotion with other developers. This is an interesting way to open that up to a wider market, especially since they have a lot of very classic IPs under their stable.
Yes.
Like Pac-Man, Galaga, Dig Dug, shit people as old as me grew up with in arcades when those still existed.
Dude, I'm in the top 300 players for Pac-Man Championship Edition. My score is in the top 300. That's how much I love Pac-Man.
That's a good question. Given the date, was this just an April Fool's prank?
Maybe,
hey devs, you have access to these games. Now we're gonna sue you.
Now we're gonna sue you.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely.
I don't think that's what happened, but
but there's no update on the article saying it was an April Fool's, and that would be a shitty, just mean prank in general.
Bandai Namco would hit the new worst company in existence.
Pretty much, as soon as they read it, some indie Japanese guy's hammering out a GDD, and he's like, "All right, I have a vision," and then they're like, "Psych."
Not even that, but has a prototype out for people to play.
Yeah, he's done a 24-hour game jam.
Awesome.
That would have been pretty amazing, but
no, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's cool. Yeah, I don't know how they're going. It doesn't say how the business model is going to apply, but I'm assuming they're probably going to charge some sort of commission. I don't know why it's only Japanese developers currently. That might be a legal thing. It might just have to do with intellectual property laws in different countries, but
probably.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not just, the way Japan has constantly treated the Western video game industry.
I mean, maybe the most interesting part of this to me is that Bandai Namco is a Japanese company.
Mm-hmm.
And their Japanese video game companies, or Japanese companies as a whole, are known to be very protective of their intellectual property. So the fact that they're even making a move like this bodes that somebody in Bandai Namco doesn't have a stick up their ass like everybody else does. Capcom has regarding Mega Man and everything else. That, the new thing with Hideo Kojima and all that bullshit.
Yeah, it's not, I personally don't see it talked about a lot, but Japan, when it comes to the gaming industry in that part of the world, tends to be very, very reclusive. They'll make things and then just withhold them from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So,
well,
Bandai Namco.
Look at the way, look at how we used to get games from Japan, right? They used to barely release a lot of their games. And then when they would release, they'd release like easier versions because they thought we were too fucking stupid.
To be fair, we are, but still.
Like when they released Final Fantasy IV originally here, and it was like
Final Fantasy 1?
No, it was released as Final Fantasy 2.
Yeah.
But it was like super watered down. Like it was so easy. And it was because they're like, well, they're too fucking stupid to understand role-playing games, the creators of Dungeons and Dragons.
Mega Man 3. Mega Man 3 is a perfect example of that. Mega Man 3 in North America had a normal and a hard mode. Normal was easy mode for Americans, and hard mode was just Japan's normal, the way they'd always played the game.
That's the way they used to do it all the time. There was so many like hard modes that was actually just the Japanese mode. And it was like, fuck you, Japan. Way to, like, patronize the shit out of us. Oh, it's okay, little Western people.
I'll address that, Ariel, simply for the fact to address it. Nobody but me, Spike, and Cray will ever know what TIP actually stands for.
Yeah.
It's
Never.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Nope, it's a secret.
All right, what's going on with Pink Floyd in the document here?
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was appropriate to name it "Hey Teacher, Leave Those Kids Alone," even though that's not what the article is titled. In the United Kingdom, a group of teachers are threatening to report parents of underage gamers to the police. So there is a group called the Nantwich fucking England, man. Nantwich Education Partnership, and it's 16 schools in Cheshire. The group has sent a letter to parents, quoted as, if your child is allowed to have inappropriate access to any game or associated project that is designated 18 plus, we are advised to contact the police and the children's social care as this is deemed neglectful. They warned young parents. They warned that young peoples exposed to adult-rated games would be vulnerable to grooming for sexual exploitation or extreme violence.
I fucking hate that so bad.
Where's the evidence?
The head teacher, Mary Hennessy Jones, is quoted as saying, "We are trying to help parents keep their children as safe as possible in the digital era. It is so easy for children to end up in the wrong place, and parents find it helpful to have some very clear headlines."
So what about books? What about music? What about television? What about movies?
All of those things have been blamed in the past by idiots who don't understand. Okay. I fucking hate this so bad, and it's the biggest thing that I've always ranted about it, because I fucking hate this mentality. If your child goes out and decides to go shoot somebody, it's not because of a game, it's not because of music, it's not because they went and saw a movie where people shoot. It's because they had a problem and you weren't addressing it because you're a shitty fucking parent who doesn't deserve to have kids and you're not paying attention, you're not grooming them.
These education partnership, these fucking people are the same people who blamed Catcher in the Rye for a shooting.
Exactly.
And the same fucking people who think Tom Sawyer shouldn't be in schools. And
Slayer killed everybody in the 80s.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. The same fucking people who tried to have Dungeons and Dragons illegal. Like, if your child is having problems like that, not only, so they could be disturbed, but that would be a mental issue that needs psychiatric help, and it's not because fucking art made them disturbed. If your child is just lashing out, though, it's probably because you're a negligent parent. It's probably because you're, like... It's not games.
People have psychological issues. They've always had psychological issues since we first crawled out of the fucking caves. People kill people because of psychological issues, or just something doesn't click in their brain correctly. Not specifically that they have a problem, but something just never connects for them. It's there. It may get some kind of influence, but it's
Yeah,
not the main driving force.
But that's the thing, is they found links, like, people who are willing are, like, easily influenced into committing violent acts because they're exposed to violent media. They've found that these people already have something, like a predisposition, like there's something
there was something wrong before.
There was something wrong with their mental state. Like it could be anything, but I mean, some people are just, you know, they need help, right? I mean, but you know what's really not going to fucking help them? Getting their parents locked in jail.
Yeah.
Now, all right. So I let you two have your moment with this. The thing is, I agree with both of you, but I do think that something should be done regarding these parents allowing their children to play something that is technically illegal for them to play.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I mean, like, here's the thing. I just want to get this point out there really quick, Gray.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
We are definitely, like, you know, not so much desensitizing, but we're creating a curiosity with children in this era where if they are denied the information for too long, they lash out based on curiosity. So I think making the blanketed way that mature games are rated as mature is too widespread.
Yeah.
Like, mature games are made mature because they said fuck and killed someone. And it's like, that's too simplistic.
Yeah.
You need to make it more like games that have a psychological element to it, that is something that a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old would not be able to understand because they haven't developed the ability to piece together what exactly is happening and could be confused by it. That's different. If the game is just violent, I mean, that's not something you need to hide from children. Because I'm sorry, if they're not going to see it in games, they're going to see it in television. They're going to see it in movies. They're going to see it in music. They're going to see it in music videos. Which, by the way, music videos don't have a rating system that limits fucking children or adults from seeing it. So you need to refine the system in question for gauging what needs to be for adults and what shouldn't. But I do think that, you know, the parents at least should be responsible for something, not prison. That's fucking ridiculous. But they should be. Go ahead.
I just like, I don't think that like there should be police action for that type of thing. I definitely think that parents need to be better educated about what is and isn't appropriate for a child. But at the same time, like it goes really far in the other direction too, because like I have a friend whose sister wouldn't let her 8-year-old son watch Pokemon because there was violence in it. And so that being an extreme example, the point still stands that like if children aren't exposed, like if they're kept in a bubble where they're not exposed to any sort of semblance of real life situations, they don't learn how to feel about a situation. And it was like when I was talking to her, we brought up an example like Star Wars, and because like they weren't allowed to watch Star Wars because there's death in it. And I was like, okay, but the thing about the death of a character you like is it teaches it, like you learn grieving, right? You learn death and its permanence. And I mean, these are things that kids need to learn. Like, because if you're not exposed to something like that, like say you weren't exposed to, like you were just locked in a fucking bubble until you were like 13 years old, and then your father dies, and you've never experienced any sort of grief or even just the concept of death itself is so foreign to you, that's going to traumatize you. Like, the thing is...
That's what Gray is saying is exactly what I was saying, which is we're being way too strict about what is and isn't acceptable for younger people to see. And it's going to cause more issues to crop up because they're not learning
prepared.
from these experiences. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they're children. They need to learn. They need to be prepared. Don't get me wrong. I don't think you should, show a 10-year-old the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But,
Why not? I watched it at 5.
Yeah, well, I watched The Shining at like 6, and it fucked me up pretty hard. But I mean, but you do need to show them something of real life consequences, and that the world isn't perfect, because these are their formative years. Like, let's face it, media at its entire core is almost always a form of storytelling. And storytelling is just the way humans teach concepts to each other. It is our very nature to tell stories, regardless of the medium.
Right.
And those stories are important because they teach us things about life. Like, that's just the way we learn. We learn through storytelling. It's the way we've always done it since, like, humanity first learned to communicate.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's a really effective teaching method is storytelling. And it's just, we are too restrictive. But at the same time, there is a balance. There is a balance. I just don't think... I think these people, the Nantwich Education Partnership, are the same people who got Kesha and the Rye banned from schools. You know what I mean? A book that literally should have never been banned, because as far as, like, the way he writes that book, it's an extremely intelligent book and very important to analyze, because like, he does a lot of really intelligent things, but they said, okay, this one crazy person read Catcher in the Rye, so obviously Catcher in the Rye makes people crazy, even though it's just a book about a kid learning to find himself. And you know what I mean? Like, so it's the same thing, in my opinion. It's just blaming something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, okay. As I've calmed down now, the way I look at this in the broadest sense possible is that no matter the form of media or storytelling, like, I'll address the two things that Ariel said specifically, in that the blame shouldn't always fall back on the parents. I agree with that. I agree with that for quite.
Not all the time.
It's not always 100%, because sometimes parents are doing things right and the kids just don't give a shit or whatever.
Yeah.
Do any of us have kids? Spike no, Gray no. I have raised many of my nieces and nephews. My one niece specifically, I raised from birth till age 7. So I have 7 years of experience not even helping, quite specifically raising a child, because her father and mother were problems,
Nate has 4 bastards.
And I have 4 bastards.
He doesn't want to admit.
When parents do need to be more informed, and there needs to be a more very specific rating system in place. That being said, with the rating system that we have in place right now, a lot of people don't pay attention to it. I worked in electronics for well over a year, quite specifically in video games, and I had to explain to so many parents what those ESRB ratings meant. Because most of them didn't know, they didn't understand, and they were just buying their 6-year-olds Call of Duty and GTA and whatever, which is fine. The main point of it is, when you sit a kid down, those are very formative years for them. Their brains don't understand everything. They're absorbing information. They're just sponges. They're taking in information. And you have to sit down with them and give them context for that information. Because it's not enough to just sit them down in front of Walking Dead and have Rick point a gun at somebody and blow his brains out and say, now you know. You got to be like, well, here's the reasons that happened.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Context is part of the parent's job.
Context is part about the understanding of serious life issues.
Yeah.
And it's also like, I do agree that they need to be better informed, but that would be like if this education partnership had decided to send out letters that explained the rating systems better and explained what they should be looking for when they buy their children video games, I would have been a proud supporter of their program. I would have been like,
too.
That is an excellent idea, and I think every school system should do that. Yep. Because, honestly, there are a lot of parents who just don't know. But if you sent them a paper and the paper showed like a box and where the rating is on a box and what the ratings actually were supposed to generally mean. Because I know sometimes they get a little bit confusing because sometimes they don't rate them very well. But for the most part, you would get a good sense of what you're supposed to look for. And, you know, honestly, it would take one piece of paper. It would be one-sided, and they would get all the information they need to be informed about the choices they make when giving their kids a game. And that would go so much farther than just threatening them with police action. It wouldn't be hard. If they want to contact me, I will make it for them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't mean to say something so arrogant as this, but it's so easy to do. Like,
it really is, though.
Well, I mean in the sense of the older people. All right, I explained this to my grandmother a while back, so I'm gonna kind of reiterate it here. The way that the information and knowledge and progression of people works nowadays, we have progressed faster than any other time in the history of our existence in the past 20 years. So that means people that are like 30, 40, 50 years old, sometimes they're not as connected with that 20-year span that happened.
Right.
And these are the people that are currently raising the children of the generation which is progressing this way.
Which can figure out a computer by age 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's just how... It's fast. I get it. I understand parents of children. I get it. It is a very fast-paced progression that we are experiencing this generation.
It's terrifying.
And instead of trying to withhold your children from it, teach yourself it. Teach yourself so you can be informed as to what is going on, and then bring that to them so they can learn and do the same for their children. Because it's both methods. What this teaching thing is doing is stupid, and also what parents in general is stupid. Because they just like what Gray said. There are parents out there, most of them actually, that just buy the game and say whatever. You can't buy it because you're not 17. Okay, I'll get it. And
yeah, no, I was really lucky.
I dealt with that so many times, and
like when it comes to video games, honestly, I was lucky. Like when I was a young kid, in the sense that my mom played video games, because my mom looked for that stuff. Like, I mean, like if I was a kid and like there was, I mean, it wasn't necessarily as bad back then because of technological limitations, but she did do her best to make informed decisions because she knew what could be out there, right? Like, my mom having grown up with that stuff, although, like I said before, it's really weird because my mom didn't think horror movies were an issue. But, I mean, even still, like, she definitely did her best to shelter me from some things. And, but at the same time, realizing that she shouldn't hide me from everything.
See, so that's the main thing right there, too. If you just 100% restrict your kids from doing something, that's what's going to make them want to do it more. My parents and my brothers helping raise me never really just said, no, you can't. I mean, when I was...
look at the drinking issues in the United States compared to England, and you can see what...
Go catch a bullet, but don't drink for 3 years.
Exactly.
That is... yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, nobody ever told me I couldn't do something as a kid. I watched and played shit I know I shouldn't have, but they were always there to provide context. And I think I'm a very open person because of that. I don't think it was the best way, but that's how I grew up.
Prohibition doesn't
and I'm
work.
fucking psychotic, so there you go.
Prohibition doesn't work in general. Regulation does. It's the same thing with your children.
Yeah.
You cannot prohibit them from just, okay, no violence, no video games, no television. You can't do that. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's going to backlash.
Breed a sociopath.
It's going to it's gonna backfire so fucking hard. So instead, what you have to say is,
when
okay,
you trap your kid under the floorboards for 18 years, they're going to come out a murderer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, they're gonna use their psychic powers to light their school on fire.
And on a joking note,
no. But in all honesty, it's like, okay, so you should say, well, my kids probably shouldn't be spending 30 hours a week in front of the television. But they can probably safely spend about 5 to 6 hours a week in front of the television.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good attitude, because now they can have a couple shows a week they watch and they can enjoy. But at the same time, they're also doing things kids should be doing.
Right.
That's regulation. It's a healthy atmosphere. It's like, yeah, they shouldn't be playing video games for, 18 hours a day. But they also shouldn't never be playing video games, because video games actually are pretty good for kids when it comes to things like cognition and problem-solving skills. But, it's just, like I said, if they're playing for 18 hours a day, obviously they're, completely, it defeats all the healthy benefits.
Right.
So you regulate. You don't prohibit.
Alright. We just spent enough time on that, I think.
No, I want to talk about it for another 33 minutes.
I kind of agree that we've made the points that are the most applicable.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
At that time.
That's fine.
Oh,
no,
man.
I
2 intense, 3 me. Makes sense.
I agree. All right, so you should cover that last part. Currently, I'm a little spacey because I'm going to be working on the part list.
Right.
Okay. So Ubisoft is opening a new consumer relations center in the United Kingdom. Gray, parentheses, no source, question mark. Just trust me.
Why would you read all of that?
Oh, right, parentheses.
Oh! Okay.
I don't know. So the consumer relationships director at this new consumer relationships center, Stefan Catherine? Stefan? I don't know. Stephanie? Anyways, she said, we have a company objective to get closer to our gamers. One of the ways to get closer is to build a unified frontline that will give support to our gamers, that will listen to them and entertain them. That's what the Consumer Relations Center is there for. In our modern era, time goes even faster than it used to. I think gamers want quick feedback, and they want an efficient reply. And then what we tried to bring on top of that is shared passion for video games. That's really the vision we have, to share our commitment and passion with our gamers. It will initially support 11 languages, and that will include... It will encapsulate the entire EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and Asia. So basically... Ubisoft realized they've been fucking up super, super hard, and this is
really. Yeah.
And this is basically their damage control. I didn't put a bullet point on there, but it's going to start with 70 employees, I believe it said initially, and it's working on expanding its way to 100. And basically, you can just phone them with any concern, anything that's related to their products. And yeah, this is essentially just damage control, because they've had a terrible fucking year in 2014, and it hasn't been starting very well in 2015. And yeah, this is what they're trying to do to fix that, to make themselves look more consumer friendly again.
Good luck.
And I'm sure there's systems like this. Actually, I know there's systems like this within different development houses as well, to where they do actively pay attention to their consumer base. I get that it's a lot. It's a lot to pay attention to, between emails or Twitter accounts or Facebook accounts or whatever. It's nice that they're making it public. Hopefully they follow through with it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Like, because everybody has like public relations managers, and they have that area of their company. But it looks like Ubisoft is like really trying to go a step beyond that and have like pretty much a dedicated sub company to that situation. Like, it's an entire office just for that. I don't know. I want to be happy, but it's Ubisoft. If it was like CD Projekt Red is opening, you know what I mean? Because I trust, like, I like them as a company. But the thing is like, it's Ubisoft, so how much are they actually going to give a shit or pay attention when you phone them?
I suppose, yeah.
It's just, like, it's a good idea. It's a bad company. Like, that's the best way to put it, right? Like,
Yeah, it's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree complete.
I don't know. I hope more companies follow suit if it's a successful idea. Because, like, having people sitting there dedicated instead of just, like, one social media manager who sits on Twitter all day, it could actually be, like, a really effective program if they set it up right.
If they pay attention to it. That's the biggest point.
Yeah, I mean, is it ultimately just purely PR, or do they think they can get something out of this? I mean, that's a board meeting we never were in, right? We're not privy to that information, so currently we have to wait and see.
I mean, I know to some degree how things work in development, and how company structure works with in-game development, because I've had that experience. Not to a AAA title degree, for sure. But I've been involved in things, and it's concerning because even on a smaller scale, plenty of things get traipsed over. Testers are some of the worst people that just get stepped on constantly, because they play this shit for hours and hours. They know what's broken. They play a specific section for days to weeks at a time, and they have to write reports on it, and those reports get turned in. And if it's not cost-effective enough to fix, they just throw those reports away. If fucking shit's broken, we don't care, because we're not going to spend the time to fix it. So if they approach this the same way they approach that, I don't know.
There's also a general thing where they just, like, get mad at testers for telling them what's not working. Because they're like, fuck you, I have 600 hours on this, and you tell me it's not working?
And that tester has spent more time playing that and figuring out how to break it and telling you exactly how it's broken.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't get me wrong. They shouldn't just do what the consumer wants.
Right.
You know what I mean? They shouldn't just, like, okay, we're not going to make the game we want to make anymore. We're going to make what they want. But it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of feedback. Like,
well, I mean, it's a numbers thing. You can't listen to the individual, because the individual wants individual needs. But if 5,000 people are saying the same thing,
even in general, you have to have some integrity and some confidence in your product.
True.
But there are examples where it would be better for them. Like, Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out, and when that came out, the only conclusion anybody came to is, man, we really want you to make a pirate game. and if they had listened to that, even after they did a poll and just made a pirate game using the same engine and took out all the Assassin's Creed stuff, people would have loved that. But they just kind of ignored it, right? Which is why I don't really think they're going to do anything with the Consumer Relationship Center.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Hopefully they'll do something.
So how are we looking over there, Spike, sir? We have a...
We are close.
We are close.
Yes.
Filler. Filler.
Well, that being
no,
said...
it's Q&A time.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys want to watch me juggle? Look. Watch.
No.
No.
Punch you in the mouth. Good job, nerd.
I hope you put a hole in your wall. That'd be the best.
Nope, that whole other side is just a window.
Wow,
I
that
don't
would have
have
been even better.
Yeah, exactly.
Just have a window.
Yeah, so this is the point where we queue up questions from you guys that have questions, and we answer them. We are starting a new thing here to where we are going to be asking you a question. This is usually the time when we'd be talking about your responses. As this is the first time we are doing this, I'm going to ask the question now. So we're going to start posing questions to you guys, and you can submit your responses or your beratements to any of the two places. If you have a response to our question, you can tweet it to us at #Tipcast on Twitter. I know not everybody uses Twitter, so if you have a response, then you can use the tipcast@gmail.com and just use the week number question in the subject. So like if you were responding to this one, you just do week 8 question in the subject. And then we'll get those responses and we'll review them in the beginning of our Q&A.
For sure. It'll be really fun, I think.
Yeah. So start queuing up your questions for us now, and we'll answer them. And then at the end of that, we'll go over the budget build for March.
Yes.
So our question...
Yeah.
Yeah, no...
Listen, you penis.
You made it, Linty.
Go.
So yeah, the viewer question for this week is, how do you feel about the length of games, having talked about Witcher 3 and the 200 plus hour thing? Do you guys prefer shorter experience games, or do you appreciate the longer experience games? You know, is filler content a problem for you? If it's 200 plus hours of really good content, are you fine with that? And how important is game length to you in your purchase decisions? Which I think is very prominent, considering some people feel they were cheaped on certain games recently that were full retail price and ended up being less than 8 hours. So that's a total question for you. Yeah, it's just how important is game length to you? You know, does it influence your purchase decision? Do you want longer games? Do you want shorter games? So if you have responses to that, #Tipcast on Twitter or the Tipcast at gmail.com.
Yeah. Locations. This build is fucking intense, by the way.
I am excited to see it.
Thank you very much for that, Ariel. Bro level right there. 3 insensitive people. Fuck off, Mark.
Ariel is best mod.
So are they gonna just answer the question now?
No. Submit those into #Tipcast or the Tipcast at Gmail with the subject week 8 question, and we'll talk about those at the beginning of the Q&A next week.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like the reader responses that they do in magazines and things like that, you know?
Yeah. So we're going to do chat Q&A right now, and then we'll do the response thing for next week.
Yeah,
and
except
then Q&A
magazines
as well.
don't respect
Yes,
you like
right.
we do.
So let me track down everything with a question mark, just to be fair. So is TIP an acronym, or is it literally just TIP? Your problem to figure out. ETIX.
Yeah.
Linty Juggler, did you
The
make
answer
it?
to
Yes,
that
you are
question
here.
Is yes.
Yes, Linty,
First
you
20
are in
patches will
fact
make the
here.
game
So
playable.
we see your existence.
Cool.
Do we have any other questions regarding topics we discussed today? Twitch in general, your own kind of your own questions regarding gaming or the tech industry as it stands at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, there's boobs in Far Cry? Yes.
There is a multitude of boobs in Far Cry. 3 and 4 at least.
There's 3 and 4 boobs. Fantastic.
Just so you know, Ariel, you don't have to actually put like our Twitter handles. I know I do, and the GamePit does, but we are constantly watching the hashtag Tipcast. Just so you know that, like, if you put hashtag Tipcast, we'll still be able to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a feed that constantly monitors that hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
Which that hashtag, we don't probably say it enough vocally. That hashtag can be used if you have anything during the week that you come across in gaming news or tech news that you want us to cover. Use that hashtag Tipcast to send us a link to that. You know, hashtag too late.
Feel about the Cuphead design of that game?
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
What
Ninja? Game? Did I finish up Akuma mode, Mark? No. I don't plan on going back.
Gray prefers his sanity, as he has explained before.
I prefer enjoying my video games.
And not having to deal with broken physics mechanics, making an impossible part of the game harder.
If bullets hit the objects they were supposed to, and not just, like, fucking clipped through, like, it's so fucking stupid, because you shoot something, and then it clips through the enemy and, like, hits the wall behind them. And it's like, if it didn't do that, I would go back. I would have no problem going. I wouldn't like it, but I would go back.
Cuphead is the one that's, like, old school hand-drawn animation, all boss battles. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It's interesting looking.
So, while chat's cooking up, questions and such, because it's kind of a little slow going, and I want people to vomit forth as many questions as you have regarding anything that we're doing. I do have this list ready, and holy shit.
Dude, that looks cool.
So we're going to start off by saying this is a high-quality casting-ready computer. Okay? So I'm going to put the link in all three chats, so you guys can see that. So the first thing you're going to see is an Intel Xeon E3 1220V2 processor, which is basically an i7 for $200.
Wow.
All right. Then you got a pro-grade motherboard that does not support overclocking, which is fine, because you can't do that on the Xeon chip. 8 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive. I cut the SSD from it so we can get an AMD 7870 2-gig graphics card in there. So that's a quad-core processor with hyper-threading with a high mid-tier graphics card, including a 80+ gold power supply, Windows 7, a monitor, and a mouse and keyboard. $791.41. Right now, you're really not going to get anything better at that exact price point.
That's really good.
That's like, you build this computer, you can get into casting 720p right now.
Yeah.
And it all fits in a nice little case.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I like it.
Yeah, for that being a micro ATX build.
Wait. Oh yeah, that is micro ATX. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say the motherboard
really
is micro
quick,
ATX.
And I'm like, oh god, did I just become a doofus? And I'm like, all right.
Just as long as the video card sits in there, right? Yeah.
It should.
Should be wide enough.
Like, Fractal Design is usually pretty good at supporting. This is the Core 11.
The R290 is not a huge card, is it?
It depends. I'm gonna assume that this case will probably support size. So I'm just gonna actually do a legit look to see.
No, this is a really good PC for under $800.
Supports graphics cards up to 350 millimeters.
Yeah.
350 mm, 2 inches. Stupid fuckers. 13 inches. Oh, fuck yes, it'll fit.
Absolutely.
13 inches, it'll fit.
The 7870 is going to be no longer than 10. That'll work.
Short or long doesn't matter as long as it's a good experience. Well done, Ariel. That's my fave. Yeah, that's a really good. So for those that don't know, every month we do a budget build. So this is the budget build for March, January. Yeah,
yes, because
March.
I missed doing it during week 7 when the game pit was absent for sickly reasons. But
when I was a dying potato.
yeah, and last time I
You're a
offered
pretty cute
multiple
potato.
different options. I offered an Intel and an AMD option for getting a decent computer at that price point. But considering the performance of this system, the AMD system is not going to be as good.
Yeah.
Like before I did it because the AMD system or the other option ended up saving like $100 over the. We didn't even do an Intel one last week. No, it was an AMD APU, and then there was the AMD dedicated CPU, dedicated GPU option. So
right,
both of
and
them
then there
were
was the
valid,
difference
but
in the video cards, whether you want to go NVIDIA or AMD. But
yes,
yeah,
and those were like mid-range systems. This is a genuinely high-end machine for that price point.
for under 800 US, so long as all the parts are applicable to where you live. And I mean, yeah, it's a solid machine to just put it together, and you could be streaming 720p quality tomorrow.
That processor doesn't seem that much worse than the 3770K.
I actually think it's better.
Is it?
I think so.
Because mine's at 3.5 gigahertz naturally.
Frequency is not the only thing that's a factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Still, E3 1220 V2.
But yeah, and we put these together just basically because there's a lot of console people who want to get into PC gaming and are afraid of the price point that a lot of people attribute to PC gaming, especially when you look at pre-builds through Alienware or iBuyPower or whoever else. You can put together a very comparable to way better machine to play your games on for close to console prices. I mean, double still for sure. But I mean, from the price, we do it from the price range of about 500 to 800, depending on what we can build for that price range.
Also, longevity.
And longevity, upgradability.
And we include everything.
Yeah,
because
everything.
a lot of people tend to say, like, you're only spending that much on the tower. What about the OS? What about... This is the operating system, the system itself, the monitor, and a mouse and keyboard. You get everything you need to start playing.
Yeah, and not a shitty mouse and keyboard. Like
it's
good
the same ones I use, the CM Storm Devastator.
I mean, they're not mechanical, but they are functional keyboards.
Absolutely.
Yes, I like
awesome.
I like the keyboard a lot, actually. I mean, even though it's not mechanical, it's got really good tactile feel. Sponsorship.
Yeah. K-Mac, why did you pick the Xeon? Okay, so there's a couple reasons why I picked the Xeon processor over a consumer chip. One, price point. The Xeon E3 1220 V2 is... Alright, you were also right, Gray. It's just a little bit weaker than the 3770K.
But not enough to matter.
Yeah, not nearly enough to matter. You won't even notice it, especially in things like games. It's $200, and it's pushing out the performance of about a $330 chip. So you're saving about $130, but getting the exact same performance.
Right.
There's a misconception with Xeon chips. The people that do understand hardware a little bit, they tend to see, i7. That's for gaming. Xeon, that's for servers and enterprise stuff. But that changed with the way that Intel does their architecture with their chips. The Xeon chips are now very, very similar to the consumer grade ones, the i7, i5, etc., to the point where you can drop a Xeon chip in consumer boards now. Before, you would need a board specifically designed and certified for a server and enterprise use, and it wasn't really valid to do it back then. But now, with how things work, the Xeon chip is... There's no reason not to get it over an i7 unless you want to overclock, because that is one difference between this chip and the consumer ones. The consumer ones do support much heavier overclocking. They come unlocked, etc. You can do that kind of enthusiast grade thing. But if you're not going to overclock and you want to save some money, The Xeon 1220 is basically an i7 3770, and it's about $130 cheaper.
Right.
That was my decision behind the Xeon chip.
All right. I want to kind of go back here a minute. K-Mac, you asked me, you saw me playing Bioshock earlier, and what's the verdict? Because you kind of got a headache watching it. When I first initially test Bioshock, I have severe displacement vertigo. That means every day of my life, if I turn my head too fast, I could vomit all over myself and pass out like that. That's how quick it goes. When I first tested it out, the camera strain was a definite problem. The field of view was a definite problem. Things like that. What you saw was the FOV changed to 100. Default for Bioshock was 75, which is way too fucking narrow. Not as bad as, say, Dead Island 60-something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. After I got through the initial parts of that game, I'm not having a problem playing it anymore. And I mean, you could describe my vertigo as simulation sickness to an extreme degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it so far. The visuals aren't a problem for me. If there are little adjustments you could continue to make if you have problems with that, the view bobbing and things like that. Mm-hmm. Increasing the FOV, which is actually really simple. If you want to just tie it to a hotkey, all you got to do is make one little command text that just pushes the FOV immediately to pressing the key. It's super simple to set up.
Unnecessary because it should be in the game.
There should FOV sliders always, forever and always. And there was another thing back here. Yaki, you were asking what do we use to record. Well, we all use, if you're talking about just broadcasting, I use OBS, Gray uses OBS, Spike uses XSplit.
I use XSplit, yeah.
Because, I mean, it's not like it's really expensive to buy a year membership for XSplit. But OBS is free.
To be different.
Well, no, if you want to get into that kind of discussion on a literal level, I prefer XSplit's interface over OBS. Yeah. It's much faster, it's much snappier, it's a lot easier to get things done in a quick fashion. Resizing, putting things on scene, etc. It's just a personal decision.
Yeah,
for sure.
OBS is very much a functional software, and it works basically identically to XSplit. People say that XSplit uses more CPU. They are correct. But OBS uses more RAM, so there's more resources being used on both spectrums.
Every time
it's just, they're both functional software.
Sponsored by Mountain Dew. The only difference with my cast specifically is that when you guys are seeing the game when I'm playing it, I actually use a program called DxTory, which I bought it. It's a one-time buy license. It's not that expensive. I think it's like $20 for the license for the lifetime of the program. It's what a lot of YouTubers use over things like Fraps and that because it's cheaper compared to some options that give you just as equal quality settings. Plus, you can plug in different codecs to it, so you can really customize the codec system to what you want to use.
I actually use DxTory as well.
Yeah, I use that just because it makes things a lot simpler for me. When I set up my scenes, I don't have to have a million different things in there for each independent game. I just have to have DxTory in there once. And any game that DxTory captures just immediately goes to my cast. It's sized correctly. It's super simple. And it does local recording in super HD, just so long as you have the machine to be able to run it.
Speaking of which, if you want to record, a lot of people go to Fraps. Don't. Fraps only ever touches at a single core during its recording process, so it's extremely weighty on the performance, especially if you don't know how to properly partition core usages, set affinities and the like. So I would suggest if you ever want to get into any kind of YouTube or anything like that where you record the content, edit it, and then post it later, DxTory is probably the best software out there for screen capping.
A lot because they have your high-profile YouTubers use it too. I mean,
they have a lossless codec. There's tons of customizability with it. It's exceptional.
Yeah, it's it's a Vietnamese or Korean-based program, so there's not a whole lot of information on it based on the website itself. But it's still fairly easy to learn.
It is. You just have to learn.
NVIDIA Shadowplay is also
No, it's
pretty
all in
good.
English,
The only
but-
problem with that is you're required to use NVIDIA cards.
Right. Thoughts on the Ankbot upgrades? I can't say anything.
Have you not upgraded? What?
I'm
No,
terrible. Hey,
I think Nate had much more direct conversations with Ankh about it and NDA, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm running the same thing everybody else is. I just know a few more things, maybe I
Yeah,
don't.
Ankh's leaked a little bit of information in my channel as well, and since he kind of leaked that publicly, I guess I can divulge it, but
But the new version that just went out, the 1.1.8.6, incremental upgrades, some things changed. It still runs. Honk's not fucked up anything yet, so.
have you guys talked about the can't kill what?
Can't kill Progress Square Enix stream thing.
Hold on.
Oh, I saw that earlier and I didn't quite understand what was going on with
What? Can't kill
Excuse
progress.
that. Holy shit.
Fucking
Let's open this up on my second monitor here.
You were
We're
just
launching today a
referencing
very
his
special
notes, big
stream on
changes.
Twitch, which we are calling Project CKP from one of our Western studios. In a nutshell, this is a real-time interactive reveal in which you can take part starting now. Over the next 3 days, you'll have to make choices at several key moments through the chat. Whoa, this is cool. In order to choose which direction you want the story to take, hidden interactive elements also await with possibly additional content to unlock. Ultimately, the next major game from the Western studio will be revealed live on this channel. This is fucking cool. I'm sorry, but like, there's a lot of ways that, like, a lot of people have done interactive reveals of games,
Right.
but doing it through Twitch, this is. I wonder what they are up to.
This is like one of those crazy ARGs.
Yeah, I saw shades of this earlier on Twitter and kind of looked at it. It seems like a cool thing depending on what it is. I just hope it's more than what. I just hope people don't expect it to the point of figuring it out, because that happens all too often. And I hope it's something worth being something.
That's kind of cool.
Seems like it has to be Deus Ex. I don't know. It could potentially be new IP tied into something, but
Cool. Someone in the chat was like, Cyberpunk 2077. Wrong company. I'm glad you actually pointed that out, Mistiz. I haven't seen this, and this looks kind of cool.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's a brilliant way to market something and involve an audience and get that hype generated. I just hope that
interested.
at the point of the review, all of that hype that they've generated just doesn't go.
Yeah.
We're finally releasing Final Fantasy 15, but you've been talking about that for like 2 fucking years.
It was
Yeah,
like
but we're releasing it now. Yay!
it was like at the
It doesn't
PS4
run at
conference.
1080p, 30 FPS.
It was like it'll be like at the PS4 conference when they're like Final Fantasy VII on PS4. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, they're finally doing it! They're finally remaking it!" And they're like, "Upgraded visuals."
Up-res,
like,
and that's what you
just
get.
kicked people in the balls with the way they totally on purpose.
Watch Dogs 2 would be an epic troll. Wasn't Watch Dogs Ubisoft?
Yeah,
Watch Dogs was Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Half-Life 3 hype.
Holy shit.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Square Enix,
Something.
3 syllables.
Fucking-
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
I'm telling you, I can't wait. Anything, literally anything on that video feed that is even remotely relative to Valve or Half-Life and then it's just going to be nothing but Half-Life 3 confirmed in chat for like the next
absolutely.
10 minutes.
Half-Life 3 is the endless hype train. You know what extends Half-Life 3 as the endless hype train? Fucking
Hashtag
Duke
tick
Nukem
fast.
Forever.
Oh my god.
Because
yeah,
Duke
the
Nukem
fact
Forever was a hype train that lasted 25 years.
that- Except, they kept saying they're making it, and Gabe Newell keeps constantly showing us that he has no fucking interest in making Half-Life 3.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so surprising that people still think it can happen, considering the person who owns the IP doesn't give a shit.
Basically, yeah.
Duke Nukem never.
Duke Nukem.
You know, speaking of arena shooters or old style shooters like that, Wolfenstein, the old, what is it, New Blood, the Old Blood? I think it's the Old Blood.
Yeah.
Is supposed to be coming out pretty soon.
I'm excited about that.
I actually am as
Go back-
well.
I'm excited to go back to Castle Wolfenstein. It's going to be interesting to see what they do, like, because they have to... Oh man, if they bring back Mecha Hitler, I would be so fucking happy.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah,
Why not?
They're not going to do it because it's like too fucking controversial these days.
Fucking Mecha Hitler.
Mecha Hitler was amazing. That was like the best boss fight in the world. Not only does everybody constantly say, if I could go back in time, I would just kill Hitler. But, I mean, you fucking have Hitler with 4 Gatling guns attached to him.
Mecha Hitler ho.
Best boss fight.
But yeah, I think we ran through all the questions. We'll leave it open for a minute or two more here if anybody has any further questions for us to address. Otherwise, we will be calling it, telling you about the length and girth that we all possess, and then calling this to a close.
Yeah, they
With the
didn't
hand
even
signal
mention
too.
Hitler.
You gotta do this. You guys
Point
can't see that in real
2
time.
millimeters.
0.2 millimeters. I have a hood.
A clitoral hood.
Oh,
My angry bump.
fucking
It's
Christ.
true. Gray's just completely detached from
he's-
this. It's just
he's-
like, I'm not going to talk about my dick length.
That's because Gray's Canadian,
uncomfortable.
so he's got like a 75-inch penis anyways.
I know.
Why?
he's
When did
super
that
hot.
ever become a stereotype?
Canadians have
Like-
dick.
I don't know. I think Spike actually brought that up in a private conversation at some point. He's just like, big dick Canadians. And I was like, well, that's going to be the thing from now on.
So that's literally the first time that's ever been heard.
The Canadian dicks? I don't know. Zarin's got a giant cock. We already established that, like, live.
No, that's fine that Zarin does, but that doesn't represent Canada as a whole.
What are you talking about? One Canadian is all Canadians.
Yeah. It's a
It's
popular
just like
Canada
just
is
like
one.
one American is all Americans. One European is all Europeans. I couldn't
course.
think of a European country for a moment.
That family of Elvis
Germany, there we
impersonators I
go.
saw one time.
Wait, what?
It's like
The
the
Metro
greatest thing in the
conversation.
world. Literally, the first time I ever went to America, I saw a family of Elvis impersonators.
Fucking
hot.
amazing.
It was like it was the greatest thing in the world. It was like, wow. Yep. I was
Spike
like,
talking
I don't.
about penis, how unusual. Any plans to expand the
some
cast?
chat
Yes.
on
Yes, Linty. Eventually we will be taking on guests. It's still this podcast is still a very transitional thing. We're still kind of nailing down the format, introducing new ideas kind of as we go along, just refining things down, trying to be better week by week.
So we have a really nice show, and then we'll probably start requesting certain people to come in on something.
Requesting or if certain people that we would allow to be on the podcast, bring them in.
I mean, nobody big.
I don't think we would ever do any more than one guest at a time.
Just like
We're not really set up for that anyways. I don't want to make that many boxes on the screen, so
yeah,
it's going to be 4 people max ever.
just like Steve Warren Buffett.
In case you happen to have missed it in the earlier portion, the Tipcast is used for more than just answering the question that we have asked you, which was, do you enjoy the length of the games being as long as possible, or would you rather they be shorter experiences so you can move through the game onto the next game? It's not only for that. If you guys ever see any kind of news articles or anything that happened throughout the week in the industry, such as tech, gaming, etc., feel free to tweet the article in question and maybe a little subtext to it with the hashtag Tipcast so we can see it, because I personally am rapidly discovering that there are weeks where I actually have no fucking time to look for any news articles, such as this one, where I didn't submit a single goddamn topic.
Which I'm not really worried about anymore, because I now have a constantly running news aggregate that searches every single site related to gaming or tech news that I view 3 to 4 times a day.
I still think it would be nice if we got any suggestions or articles that you guys happen to find, in case we missed them.
And if we feel like we can add anything of value, we'll talk about it. That's the important thing, is if we don't talk about it, it's not because we didn't pay attention, it's because we just don't feel like we can add anything. And it's just so, like, we would be wasting everyone's time.
Right, yeah. Also, Inevitable, thank you for hosting the Tipcaster. We are pretty much at the end here.
I have not seen that, Mark, but I will possibly have to.
That was the thing I wanted to ask you about, too, if you had seen that. Because that came across my news aggregate like 15 times this week. And I didn't want to just shoehorn it in there, but yeah, he went waste of skin, no leveling up. Fucking...
That would make me QQ a little more if I didn't remember that somebody beat the entirety of Dark Souls 2 using a Rock Band drum set.
I mean, it'll happen for Bloodborne eventually, I'm sure.
Oh, guaranteed. Well, yeah, I guess they're going to be putting a new Rock Band on the PS4.
I want to see people handle Stalker Misery as well as they handle Dark Souls games.
I don't know if you can.
You want somebody to knife only Stalker Misery?
Fucking you won't. No,
that's out there.
No, he won't.
You might.
The knife actually was severely nerfed in Misery to the point where you actually can't fucking kill anything with it.
That's okay.
Somebody will take on that challenge eventually.
Misery is a mod, Mark. I'll do it.
I am going to be doing my BB gun runs of Fallout.
Yeah, but Fallout's so cheesy.
Fallout's so fun, though.
Fallout is fun.
Yeah.
But saying it's fun is not saying it's a good game, though, just so you're aware, people.
No, it's really fun. That's all I have to say about that.
Bullet, which is fun for no goddamn reason. That game's terrible. There's nothing about that game
was
that's
fun
good.
for 2 hours.
Did you play Bad Rats for 2 hours?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, why?
Because it was fucking hilarious. Bad Rats, for those of you that don't know, is a 2D physics puzzle game with a third dimension.
Fucking bad.
That guy, right there.
It's bad.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Alright.
So we're doing the outro now?
We are doing the outros. We're going to clockwork this like usual, starting with Mr. You are a mist of erring properties.
Okay, never mind.
I'm just a miss.
Great.
So, my name is Supergrey. I'm Supergrey38. Mr. Gray. People just call me Gray. I'm a variety caster on Twitch. I stream in the mornings. Currently playing Bloodborne. I think I'm going to play Axiom Verge, because it looks really fun, because I like Metroidvanias. I also was playing Stalker. I'll have to get back to that. I've just been really hooked on Bloodborne. Which is why I haven't been. But, yeah, I mean, I play a variety of games. Other than that, that's pretty much what I do. I like to have fun. Come say hello. I'll give you little kisses, because you're all a bunch of cuties.
Okay, Louis, I'm off the keyboard. You've got it, sir.
Louis is such a fucking badass.
You do it too. Shut up, Era. SpikeSethen.
I am SpikeSethen. You can find me at SpikeSethen on Twitch and SpikeSethenTV everywhere else. I have a good job. Hey, it's Supergrey the original. I haven't seen him in like ever.
That's what you get
I
for
only
cast
remember
yourself
the
in.
vintage and the classic.
I
one.
didn't cast myself. I put Supergrey.
Correct, nerd.
Did you not know
All right,
that?
stop. Let Spike go.
Oh, you're so grumpy. Variety caster on Twitch. I play a multitude of games. I tend to prioritize making things as difficult and complex as humanly possible. You can commonly find me playing the game Nipples, Stalker, Call It Pripyat, Misery on my channel. Dying a lot, but also playing like a badass because I'm good at games. Shameless promotion for a moment. Louis, me, TheGamePit, and a few other casters are going to be doing a fundraiser for the Louis on the 15th. So, if you want to be there, that would be cool. We'll be doing things.
Bro.
You
you
ruined
like
the awkward silence. You penis.
Good.
If you like
Nerd.
salt, you should watch Spike. 'Cause
Listen, I
he
try
only
not to be
play
salty.
games. He only plays games that come with a heaping helping of salt. Like,
It's true.
It's pretty true, yeah.
Oh,
Alright. And I am the GamePit, TGPNate, a million different names. This is the channel that you are currently watching us on. I am the Game P1T everywhere else, because GamePit was taken everywhere else except for Twitch, apparently. That's Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Steam community group. I forgot what I was saying. Hi, I'm a variety caster. I'm live 4 days a week now. Schedule is down below. Mondays and Wednesdays are the primary playthroughs. Tuesdays are co-op Tuesdays with Mr. Supergrey38. Tomorrow we will be playing a game which we have not decided on, and we will no longer be telling people what we will be playing.
it's a mystery.
Plus we got to
Now
work
you
on a
have
new
to
name
tune in.
for all of the things for that. Wednesdays, after my regular casts, 10 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday nights is Dead Wed with Sir SpikeSethen, where we will be starting this Wednesday enjoying Saints Row the Third and beating things in the face with purple dildo bats.
Yay!
Yay!
We can make penis jokes and they'll make sense now.
Like they never made sense. Come on now.
Dicks.
And then Thursdays is a new thing on my channel where I will be doing Indicate Thursdays. So Thursdays will be a 4-hour show dedicated to looking at indie games that I want to basically just promote or have people take a look at that I've enjoyed or I think are interesting. So we can all kind of sit down, look at a new indie game, and decide whether we want to support it or not. Otherwise, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays off. Definitely look forward to April 15th, where we'll be doing our fundraiser for Mr. Luby567, because we love his face and he supports us extremely. So we have decided to help him out and support him as well with some financial things that he needs done. So we'll have more information on that coming out as we figure it out. Otherwise, I think we are pretty much done here.
In the words of Jesse Cox, to be continued.
Good God. Thank you all for coming out to
She
Tipcast
coined
Week.
that phrase.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's more
Never-
important
never
than
heard it
anyone else
before.
in the history of time. Don't you argue with me.
I
The
would
great
never
space
argue with
butterfly will murder you.
I'm being blocked by Subway.
Alright.
Story of my life.
So thank
I
everybody
didn't
for
know
coming
that's
out.
what it
Week
was.
8 of the Tipcast. The VOD will be up on YouTube tomorrow for sure. On my channel and then eventually on Spike's channel when he gets to the chance of it.
Fucking emote is so good.
Jesus Christ. That will
Oh my
include
God, yes.
that will include links to the budget PC for March, the $791 gaming PC that Spike has put together, as well as with more links and everything else, and reminders of this week's questions for the viewer response. We love all your faces. We are done for tonight. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you for all the support on Twitter and the hosts. I love your faces. I love your butts. I love your butt faces, and I love your face butts.
What the fuck is that?